Hey guys, it's Benjamin with Benjamin Exotics. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the psychology behind breeder female ball pythons. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the psychology behind breeder female ball pythons, and talk about the entire breeding process from start to finish, all the way from follicle development, ovulation, all the way to the final stages, if you do everything correctly, getting your fantastic, healthy clutch of eggs. So let's get straight into today's video. So when your females first go into the breeding season, okay, and the breeding season is really triggered from either temperature changes inside or temperature and pressure changes triggered outside of your house, facility, wherever you're keeping your ball pythons and stuff like that. So let's look at a basic female. So here's a female right here, probably about 1,500 grams, passed out het clown female. And once your female comes into the breeding season and she gets triggered and the temperature changes trigger her into a breeding mode, she's going to do two things. Firstly, she's actually going to go off food because her interest has changed from eating to basically, okay, now the temperature is right that I could actually get pregnant and have eggs, and she's going to be interested in a male. Now, simultaneously, when she goes off of food, she's also going to start releasing pheromones. Now, pheromones are basically, think about them like a scent that we as humans cannot pick up. It's an kind of invisible trail, and it basically tells any males in the area that can pick it up that, hey, I'm a fertile, healthy, breedable female and I want to breed. I'm able to breed. Let's hook up and let's make babies. Basically, it's pretty simplified, but it's something like that. Again, humans can't detect it. It's kind of like an invisible smell. And once these females start putting off the pheromones, the males are going to go absolutely insane. Now, when you first breed your females, or even when you just get a male in the enclosure, you don't even have to necessarily have the females lock up, but the first time that your male and your female breed for that season, she's going to go into an absolute feeding frenzy. I'm talking about you go to open the enclosure, just putting your fingers on the side of the tub to slide it out, and she's striking at your finger, wants to eat everything in sight. These girls go into being just complete feeding machines. Now, this is going to happen for, again, because she's met a male, she figures out that, okay, there's fertile males in this area, and now she needs to put on a bunch of body weight for that season. Now, coming into the breeding season, you don't want your females to be too skinny, but you also don't want them to be too fat, so don't get that confused. You don't want your females to be really buff coming into the season, just an athletic build, healthy build, so that they can actually put on weight and properly develop follicles. And if you guys don't know, follicles, when I say that throughout this video, follicles are basically the first beginning stages of an egg. They're very small. They're almost like they'll be at basically the last or mid to last third of the snake's body, and they're not even really detectable, barely. You can palpate, but I don't really do that. And they're smaller than a BB, so they're tiny. And then as your female goes throughout the development process, they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until they're actually the size of a full egg. So let's go back to what I was saying about breeding the males and the females. So you breed your male and your female, she's going to go into a feeding frenzy. Now, this feeding frenzy will last for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then she'll start to die down again, and if you don't breed her again, she'll actually go off food completely. So the trick is to, after you breed your female and your male, for that initial time, every 2.5, 3, 4 weeks, I like to put the male back in with the female and trigger another feeding response, another feeding frenzy. Now, it is kind of a point of diminishing returns, meaning that the first time you breed your male and your female, she's going to go into a crazy feeding frenzy, and every time after that, she'll also have a small feeding frenzy, but it won't be as big or as dramatic as the first one. And then over time, as you keep breeding her, and she puts on enough weight, she'll actually go off food completely for really two reasons. Number one, she's going to go off food after you have bred her a bunch and fed her a bunch, because of course she has the adequate weight, and there's no reason to just keep putting on more and more weight. And secondly, because the follicles will actually become so big, and this girl's coming out to say hello, but the follicles will actually become so big that it's not even really safe for the female to keep taking in massive amounts of nutrients, massive amounts of, rodents and meals. It could actually cause problems in follicle development development. So after your female goes off food, you've bred her with the male hopefully 4, 5, 6 times over anywhere from a 3 to 9 month period is really when they're going to have that stage of breeding and feeding. So after your female goes off food, she's no longer receptive to breeding with your males. You kind of just want to shelf that female and leave her alone. Don't mess with her too much. Don't hold her, especially after she ovulates, and that's a little bit we'll get into in a second. But you basically want to shelf that female, and when you shelf that female, she's going to do a bunch of different things. So she's going to go through a process of basically showing you a bunch of signs that she's going through massive follicle development. One thing that actually surprises most people is what we call the glowing stage, which is where anytime she's going through a massive change in follicle size or the follicles are growing, these females will actually change their colors slightly. So normally they'll go brighter. So like a Mojave female right here, she's not glowing right now, but when she goes into glowing mode, when she's growing follicles and developing follicles, her black will just get really light. The stripe on her back, which we can see, we can get a pretty good color right there, that stripe will go to just like a neon, just like really pretty, and all of the blushing on her sides and the gray will just get thrown out of proportion, and you'll be able to tell that she's just maybe not quite the right color, okay? Very bright. That's a sign of follicle development during this period before ovulation. Also, the females will be seeking the cold and seeking the warm sides of the enclosures a lot. So they'll literally go back and forth. Every 3 or 4 days they'll change. So they might be wrapped around the water bowl for, you know, half a week or even a week at a time, wrapped around the water bowl, trying to keep those follicles cool. And then they'll go back and they'll stay on the warm side. You even also see them swell slightly, not as much as a full-blown ovulation, but definitely during this period where they're not eating and they're not breeding, you're going to see a bunch of different signs that she is having follicle development. And when you see those signs, you know that you're on the way to an ovulation. Now, roughly, again, after the female stops eating, it's normally between 2 and 4 months that she's going to go through, continue developing these follicles, and then she's actually going to have something called an ovulation. Now here's a female that just went through an ovulation a few days ago, and an ovulation will last, I mean, the signs of the ovulation will last for maybe 3, 4, 5 days up to a week. It's definitely not a one-day thing, but she'll definitely blow up and then kind of get smaller over time. We're actually gonna have to maneuver a little bit because these are quite long tubs. So this is a cinnamon female ball python, and like I said, ovulation happened about, I think 3 or 4 days ago was when she really had her first ovulation, and she is of course buried and she's hugging the heat, so it's gonna be kind of hard to see, but she has basically blown up in size. So it's gonna be a little bit hard. Again, when you have the females going through an ovulation, or especially after an ovulation, don't pick them up, don't mess with them too much, but I really want to show you guys the size of this girl. So it's gonna be a little bit hard, and the lighting is getting knocked off. She is actually slightly lighter than she normally is because she is kind of glowing right now, but when you see an ovulation, signs of that are you come in and it looks like the female has just been blown up, almost looks like she's just been fed. So hopefully we can kind of see right there. Again, it's gonna be very hard to see because the lighting and everything's getting knocked off, but right here, so from about right here on the female, going back, her entire back, all the way to about this point on the tail is big. You can kind of see in the sides. See how much that is stretched out? Right there on the bottom, her belly is actually convexed, it's basically, the easiest way to say is it's basically sticking out. And when I feel this female, she feels hard. It feels like I just fed her a massive rodent, and you actually see the scales being stretched a little bit. You can actually, not on this side, but especially on the other side, you'll see the female having like, you'll be able to see the skin under the scales basically because the scales are so stretched. She'll change a color, and it's normally pretty obvious when she's gone through an ovulation. Like I said, looks like the snake just ate something, but this snake hasn't eaten in, I think, 4 months. So she's basically just on time for her ovulation. Now, without getting too fancy, ovulation is the point at which the mature follicles, now you can even call them mature ovum, basically the eggs that are almost the full size of a python egg, are going to be moving throughout the female from the ovaries down into the oviduct to be fertilized. That's what ovulation is. And this is basically the point of no return. So after you see this process going through with your female ball python, this means that she 100% is going to lay eggs. Doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be fertile, doesn't mean they're going to be healthy, it just means that she will be dropping a clutch of eggs. Sometimes before ovulation occurs, you can actually have something called reabsorption, where the female, for whatever reason, something goes wrong internally, or she's just not ready to produce, she'll reabsorb the follicles, which will mean that she won't lay a clutch of eggs, and she will absorb all the nutrients from those follicles, and of course, after she does that, you're not going to get any eggs at all. So if you are a snake breeder and you see this final process, you've done everything right. Good on you, and the female is probably going to lay a healthy clutch of eggs. Now, after you see an ovulation, your female is going to go through, in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, basically, I always say 10 to 20 days, she's going to go through a pre-lay shed. Now, pre-lay shed is basically the point at which the female is preparing to drop a huge load, hopefully a bunch of really healthy eggs, and then after she goes through the pre-lay shed, about 30 days afterwards, you're going to come in, and if everything's gone right, and the fertilization process was complete, and the male had quality sperm, and the temperatures weren't knocked off, there's a bunch of factors, but assuming everything went right, you're going to come in about 30 days, and you're going to see this female wrapped around a big, nice, healthy clutch of ball python eggs. So overall, I hope you guys did enjoy and most importantly benefit from today's video. If you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.